What is going on, YouTubeverse? John Stanek from Johnny Radio here, bringing you another Viva La Vinyl classic album review. And we are talking to you today, this is my good friend Ian Riley, by the way. We're talking about Led Zeppelin's 4, aka Zoso, aka
Runes, aka No Title.
Yes, It is just one of the greatest albums of all time. It is an absolute classic. Every song on here is great. So let's just go through them one by one.
Yep.
Starting with Black Dog, just one of the best guitar riffs of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Just
one of the best opening tracks, most iconic opening tracks on a record ever.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Led Zeppelin is known for iconic opening tracks. I mean, you're talking Led Zeppelin 2, you got Whole Lotta Love, Good Times, Bad Times off their opening album. But this one, it just, I believe the story goes, they titled it Black Dog just because a random black dog walked by in the studio when they wrote and recorded the song. It just feels like one of those raw songs that just came out of nowhere, and I think they all really gelled on, all contributed in some way. And real quick, I just want to say, I mean, every member of this band is incredible in and of themselves.
Virtuosos in their respective fields, and then on every other instrument that they play, every creative contribution to this particular record, but all their music in general.
Absolutely.
I don't think there's been a better team in rock music. Maybe the only exception would be the Beatles. Even that's questionable just because they conflicted on so much. So Led Zeppelin.
You, as always, are so on my wavelength, man. That's why I have you here. And Black Dog, awesome opener. Moving on to track 2, which I think could have been a great opener in its own right, Rock and Roll.
Yeah. Lives up to its namesake.
Totally. I mean, they just take like the 50s rock and roll style, but they amp it up.
It's one of the most iconic chord progressions.
Yeah.
Just because it's one that's been done before they did it. It was one that's been done hundreds of times by blues artists at different tempos. Just doing that thing. But the way Jimmy Page did it with the Dadgad tuning, his specific riff, but the underlying bass note progression, and then Rob's very, very specific lyrics, just been a long time, been a long time, been a long, lonely, 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 lonely time.
Yeah.
It's just so hard hitting, and it's cool because I actually like it better as the second track. It's so cool to come from Black Dog to go into that.
And speaking of lyrics, I mean, Black Dog, going back to that lyrically, Robert Plant, the hey, hey, mom, said the way you move. I mean, there's no song like that, and it's so cool when Page and Plant reunited in the 90s briefly for their Unleaded thing, and they just incorporated that into the end of one of their jams.
He was there.
It was just, oh man, the first concert I ever went to was when Page and Plant reunited at the Omni when that existed in Atlanta.
So jealous.
It was incredible. They had the whole Middle Eastern band with them doing Kashmir. Incredible. But anyway, that's a whole other story. Let's move on to track 3. Battle of Evermore. I know you have a lot to say about this one.
I think the thing is, I think this one's one of my favorite examples of Jimmy Page as a composer. I love the mandolin on it. I love the strings. I love the vibe of it, and then it comes out of 2 bangers into this very kind of almost travel hymn, and it's and it's cool because I don't think the title itself is an actual reference to a Lord of the Rings thing, but it's one of those things where it still has a fantastical element to it. Now, one of the next songs we'll get to it in a few minutes, but it has the Lord of the Rings direct reference in its title, and they're known for that. But besides the Lord of the Rings specifically, just the fantasy element and Plant's vocals are just they're so chill and so moving, but the Battle of Evermore is still such an epic concept, and the story is told so well through the lyrics and through the music itself. Yeah. And it's specifically the mandolin, man. I can't play a mandolin like that. I will never be able to play a mandolin like that. It's not even super complex what he's doing. It's the way he arranged it. Yeah. That's what speaks volumes about a good songwriter.
Was such a good arranger and such a great producer. I mean, to have all this essentially self-produced is amazing in its own right.
4 or 5 different places in the world.
Oh man, yeah. And the female vocal on Battle of Evermore is also just fits right in perfectly with what they were doing.
Yeah.
So now we're at number 4, Stairway to Heaven. Look at that.
I think it's the highest charting non-single by a band ever.
I think so. Yeah,
I think something like that. Something crazy because it's not a single.
Yeah,
it's just one of the most famous songs ever written. Though.
Yeah, and like at 7+ minutes, it's like it's up there with Bob Dylan's "Like a Rolling Stone" at being one of the highest chart-topping songs of 6+ minutes, and rightfully so. I mean, a lot of people think that Stairway is overrated as a song.
No.
I mean, it's not my personal favorite Zeppelin song, which that we will get to later on this very album, but Stairway is absolutely in the top 3 for me.
Definitely. The very first I'll make this quick, but the very first guitar player I was ever in a band with, one of my best friends in the world, I'm still friends with to this day. We're gonna have him on this show.
Christian Keel,
shout out. I remember he learned that, and he was a madman at age 13. We were trying to start a band together. He learned every Led Zeppelin song and get his hands on one, and he played that solo. And I'd never seen someone actually do it, but when I realized, even then, the intricacy of what went into writing that and just seeing someone else reproduce it, it's just, I knew he wasn't even doing it justice, and he was playing it very well, but I was like, oh my god, someone wrote this. That was what went through my head at age 13 when I heard that. And it's crazy.
Just incredible from the build-up of the song. I mean, of course, lyrically it's so deep on so many levels, but just the way the song builds is just key to the song, and it has so many different parts to the song, but for me...
The wind instruments.
Oh, man, yes. Everything.
It's so cinematic.
It really is.
And then rock and roll at the same time.
And the guitar solo is just, I think, one of the greatest of all time.
I'm not even a guitar solo person. I love good shredding, but that's not just good shredding. That's a perfect composition. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah. And she's buying the stairway to heaven. Yeah. So, okay, now we're on side 2. And Misty Mountain Hop, another
Lord of the Rings
reference. Yes. Such a cool song. I love the riff of this song. I love that John Paul Jones kind of gets to put a spotlight on the keyboard riff on this track. It really propels the whole song. It's actually one of my favorites on the album, to be honest, just because it's such a simple riff, but one that they can really let loose on. It's kind of one of those, kind of like Trampled Underfoot from Physical Graffiti, where they just jam so hard on it, and it has some of the most fun lyrics on the album.
I would agree with that too.
Yeah. The baby, do you like it?
It's so fun to watch live too. I've never seen them live, but I mean, those old videos of them playing it is so cool.
Yeah. So, Misty Mountain Hop, classic. 4 Sticks, which I believe is named after the method that John Bonham used on this song, using 4 sticks at the same time.
Isn't this the song where, maybe I'm wrong, but didn't Jimmy Page play a sitar on this song?
It's possible that there's sitar in there. I wouldn't be surprised because
it's him.
There's a lot of layers in there. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a kazoo in there, like on the chorus, the way things build up, and it's all mixed together. And that was another great one that when they reunited as Page and Plant with the Middle Eastern percussion, just added so much to the mix. Great song, classic. I love how this album is only 8 songs. I don't think enough artists really whittle down their best stuff enough anymore these days, and this album is just perfect. So Going to California, another ballad, and a beautiful one at that. I love this is one that on that Led Zeppelin DVD, you remember the
Celebration Day? Yeah.
Oh man, the performance of that with the 4 of them just sitting side by side, and again some really great mandolin playing here.
Oh yeah.
And Plant again in top form. The lyrics, I just love it, man. It's a classic, and Now we're at song number 8 already, and this is my
the greatest song.
Oh man, this is my favorite Zeppelin song of all time, "When the Levee Breaks," and this would segue very well into where they recorded this album for the most part. Headley
Grange, I think.
Headley Grange.
It's in. Let me fact check. You keep talking.
Yeah, it's they were kind of in the middle of nowhere and recorded at this old house. And for this song in particular, they ran a microphone down, I believe, like through a window from a truck outside. In a stairwell, and recorded John Bonham's drums to get that natural reverb. And just the drum sound alone on this is so cool.
Headley
so
Grange,
powerful.
Headley Grange is just a Victorian house in East Hampshire, which there's not a whole lot there. I imagine there was even less back then.
Exactly. So. But man, it's just the coolest drum sound ever. I mean, the Beastie Boys sampled it. I think it's been sampled several times. I think even Beyonce
that technique has just been redone, but Page did it such a certain way that it's almost it's both simple and yet almost impossible to replicate.
Yeah,
and which is crazy.
And that's just the drum sound we're talking about here. The song itself. It's
so epic.
It really is. It's basically they're riffing on an old blues song, but they make it their own. And the reverb on the harmonica, just every single sound. There's so much detail put into it. But the song itself is just, like you said, epic. It is blues, but it's like sonic blues beyond anything Pink Floyd did. It's like. It's primal. It's just got everything great about Led Zeppelin in one song.
And it's got that major key that it keeps coming back on. It reminds me like the little moments on many rock records after that, like Pride on Mean Everything to Nothing. Like for instance, just the
Manchester Orchestra.
Yeah, like just stuff like that. All of that. I feel like this was the beginning of that. Of like those really epic, chordy, but beautiful, like heavy, epic rock songs that weren't just power ballads by hair metal bands.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was just an epic rock song, very elemental, very spiritual.
Yeah.
But heavy.
And without Led Zeppelin, there wouldn't be bands like Manchester Orchestra today, or
any band I've been in.
Yeah, so many bands. I mean, like any hard rock band owes something to Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And we've done another video that you'll see here soon for St. Patrick's Day, the top 10 Irish bands, where we talked about the influence of Irish music and how it continues to influence music today. Led Zeppelin is just one of those bands that continue.
Not an Irish band, but just
close enough,
yeah.
British.
Yeah.
But they continue to influence new generations. Every new generation looks back to this band, and they are absolutely one of the best bands.
And one of the few bands in history that not only are influential, but people can evolve from, but they're almost impossible to replicate. Just like the recording techniques I was talking about. There's not there's not another band like this, and I don't think there ever will be. There just isn't. There's too much talent, too much perfection.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, A+. Guys, tell us what you think. We just would love to hear your feedback. I really appreciate you watching this channel. If you like it, subscribe, Viva La Vinyl, all that jazz, and we will see you soon.